So over the past few months, ever since Ronald Koeman did take charge of FC Barcelona, one thing was very clear, and that was that we have been going through a transitional period. And Koeman himself has made it very clear by introducing many of these youth players, seeing players such as Moriba finally feature into the first team, seeing players like Ricky Puig finally feature and gain more minutes into the first team. Then we also have the center back Mingueza, and the list does go on. The full purpose and one of the main objectives coming from Ronald Koeman is that he does want to introduce as many youth players as much as possible. This is the transitional period. Now with this going on, after what we have been hearing over the past few hours, the plans of transitioning the academy players from Barcelona B or from Juvenil A into the first team, it is not stopping. And that is what I do want to talk about in today's video, is talk about the 3 players that have been reported to finally feature into the first team by the next season. These 3 players that we are going to be talking about has been talked about so highly over the past few months, and many have questioned, when are we finally going to see these 3 players finally get placed into the first team? And this all started with Joan Laporta when he first came into this Barcelona club as the president. One of the first few things he did do in his first few days was to go into the first team and then go into the Barcelona B team specifically, and he told them exactly this: I want to see all you guys there into the first team. The more academy players that go into the first team, the better. So the 3 players that has been highly talked about has been number 1, Alejandro Balde, number 2, Alex Collado, and number 3, Angel Alarcon. These are the 3 players that we are going to be talking about and discussing just who are these players and why are these 3 players good enough in order to feature in the preseason of the first team. So there is plenty that we're going to have to discuss in today's video. So for those of you guys who are new here, welcome to the channel and let's get to it. Starting with Alejandro Balde. Alejandro Balde is a 17-year-old player who does play as a left back and is also from Spain. He has been in the academy of FC Barcelona since 2011. Now, one of the highlights that he has encountered, unfortunately, that has been talked about a lot recently, has been the injury that he did encounter back on October 11th, 2020 through November 19th, 2020. The reason why this injury was such a big deal for Alejandro Balde, it is because in the preseason, when he was finally going to become and debut as a Barcelona B player, he did encounter the injury, which basically meant that he did not start his Barcelona B campaign until after that injury was over, which was after November 19th. And because he could not make that debut for Barcelona B's first match in the beginning of the 2020-2021 season, the one player that did take his position on that left back area was Mingueza. But that's going to be for a whole other different type of video. But yes, it is true that Oscar Mingueza was playing as a left back for Barcelona B in their first game for the 2020-2021 season. And as soon as Alejandro Balde finally came back and returned to full fitness, he did come back into a Barcelona match where they did play against Hospitalet, and they have lost in that match 2-0. Alejandro Balde only played a total of 20 minutes. But moving forward away from that game, the more games that Alejandro Balde has participated in, he continued to impress. And it did catch the attention of the staff members that were working within the first team. As we did enter towards the end of December 2020, there were reports and rumors stating that Junior Firpo could be leaving in the winter transfer market, which was on January 2021, and in the end, only for Ronald Koeman, who was a big fan of Alejandro Balde, can finally get the chance to promote Alejandro Balde into the first team and be that second backing for Jordi Alba. That was the original plan. Now, unfortunately, for Barcelona and Koeman, that did not end up happening. Firpo was not able to move to any other club because it did seem like there were many clubs out there that were just simply not ready to bring in Firpo in terms of paying the transfer fee. Or to put it quite simply, there was probably no clubs during that time that were interested in Firpo's services. And so the plan of introducing Alejandro Balde into the first team did fall to the ground, and it never did happen. But that is where it's going to lead us towards the next question. The fact that we are hearing a 17-year-old player being considered to go into the first team and play as a left back or as a backup for Jordi Alba, what makes this player so special? Why is Ronald Koeman such a big fan of Alejandro Balde? Well, it says here that Alejandro Balde is very well known for progressing the ball forward and becoming as efficient as much as possible in order to create many opportunities for Barcelona B or Juvenil A. That was basically his best game and what he could do best throughout his time in the youth academy. And it says here that every time Alejandro Balde did encounter an offensive duo on the pitch, Alejandro Balde tended to win 50% of those offensive duels, which is a very high rating. And here is going to be a map on where he did commit those offensive duels. Here is going to be a picture on the total amount of offensive duels he did do in the first 5 matches. And then we're going to add on top of that the total amount of offensive duels he has done in the last 5 matches until today. You can see here overall, looking at the total amount of offensive duels and where he does intend to do those offensive battles, this is a player that Barcelona can highly benefit from. This is a player that does seem extremely dangerous, not just in the final third area, but in their own half. And if we look at the other map, which is basically explaining the amount of shot assist he has displayed on the field so far in this season, you can see that the shot assist is very similar to the likes of Jordi Alba. And just looking at these maps overall, getting a great visual of who Alejandro Balde is and where he does like to do most of his damage, this is a player that's very lethal and wants to create as many chances for his teammates as much as possible. And it should be no surprise that Alejandro Balde is very attack focused, because in the very beginning of his career, he was actually a striker for many of his teams before FC Barcelona. It was until then when Barcelona grabbed Alejandro Balde, they saw Alejandro Balde and said, you know what, we want to take advantage of your pace. We want to take advantage of the way you do like to progress the ball forward. Let's try you out on the left back area. And the rest was history. We also do have a Spanish youth football expert who is named Albert Rogue, and he said this about the player: running is very important, but if you can also run with the football stuck to your foot and creating danger, then that is the best. Barcelona are lucky because in its academy, it has a clear example of it. He plays as a left back and his name is Alejandro Balde. As for his defensive game, defensively, he is a player that has shown to commit very well when it comes to tracking back. Every time either Barcelona B or Juvenil A, the teams that he did play for over the past 24 months, every time his teammates did lose possession, Alejandro Balde does like to rely on his pace in order to track back as soon as possible and get into the best position in order to retain the ball back. And looking at his game overall, this is a player that is nowhere near his final version, but it is a player that can become something extremely special if he is nurtured right. As of today, Alejandro Balde is currently not playing on the field. He has recently encountered a shoulder injury on March 8th, and he will not be expected to come back until April 8th of 2021. So he will be out for a total of 1 month. And looking at the young Spanish left back, his contract does not end until 2022. There has been many reports that many youth players do have to get their contracts renewed. That is going to be ending in this summer. Alejandro Balde, his contract will not end until the next summer. So there is going to be no rush on trying to renew this player. But I have no doubt that as soon as Alejandro Balde does step onto the field during that preseason for the first team, he will be impressing and he will do everything he can in his power to follow the footsteps of the great legendary player Jordi Alba. So now we are going to be moving on towards Alex Collado. We do have some breaking news regarding this player, and it says here, it has been reported by Santiago Valle back on March 9th, 2021, that the club has informed to Alex Collado that the plan is to renew his contract for 2 more years. Barcelona do want to involve him into the first team for the next season. His contract does expire in this coming summer of 2021. Alex Collado's release clause will be 100 million euros once he does get the promotion into the first team. This will be a big moment to take in, right? There is a reason why this report is being explained within the video, because we must set the tone to understand just where exactly Alex Collado is actually at. This will be a big moment for the player. Alex Collado is a 21-year-old Spanish right winger or an attacking midfielder for Barcelona B. He is currently the captain of FC Barcelona B, and out of all of the players that has been talked about, whether it's in Juvenil A or in Barcelona B, Alex Collado has been the front runner when it comes to the discussion of who is going to be the next player to be promoted into the first team. This is the player that has been long long overdue when it does come to the promotion. Let me explain. Over the past 2 seasons, which is the 2019-2020 season and the 2020-2021 season, Alex Collado has always been in the discussion of this is a player that needs to be ready for the first team. And everyone within Barcelona and through social media, every fan of Barcelona is agreeing with the fact that Alex Collado is ready to step into the big stages. Looking at the 2019-2020 season, he has contributed in a total of 5 goals and provided a total of 5 assists. In the 2020-2021 season, he currently does have a total of 7 goals. Positionally, he is a right winger. But as you do see his games more and more, you start to realize one thing. Just because Alex Collado does start on the right wing area, that does not mean that he does stay within that position. Understanding Alex Collado's game, this is a player that has showed to start on the right wing and then cut into the middle. So around 95% of the time, he rarely does stay on that side. And then there are occasions where Garcia Pimienta does like to start him as a attacking midfielder. Alex Collado as a interior is very much real. One of the greatest skill sets that he does like to provide on the field is that he is very great at picking those passes and knowing exactly who to pass it to. He is always looking for the 1-2s around the box. And one of the main reasons why he is in those occasions, it is because the ball control that he does possess really does allow him to play with other players and put himself in that situation. And usually when Barcelona do get into a defensive shape, when Barcelona do have to defend, Alex Collado is one of the first few players that does have to press from the front. And around 50 to 60% of the time, every time Alex Collado has the duty to press from the front and try to regain the possession, he does a very good job at doing that. Now, there are occasions where the opposition actually succeeds and the front line does fail on their press and they can't gain possession. As the opposition goes past the front line and are introduced towards the midfield line, Alex Collado puts himself in a position where he acts as a second striker. So once the opposition does lose the ball from the midfielders or the defenders, the teammates of Alex Collado does look for Alex Collado as soon as possible and is always ready to receive the ball as the second striker. And then away they go and transition towards the attack. The majority of the attack that Barcelona does go through, 98% of the attack does go through Alex Collado. He is the main man, which begs the question, why is he not into the first team? After seeing all of these brilliant performances, seeing how Alex Collado participates in almost every attacking display that Barcelona B does execute, seeing the amount of take-ons and the amount of assists and goals he gives for his teammates, why was he never considered to go into the first team? And here's the thing, the problem is not his level. Alex Collado has the level and the requirements necessary to make it towards the first team. But what ends up being the massive problem for this player is the fact that within his position as a right winger, there are players such as Dembélé, Francisco Trincao, and sometimes Lionel Messi who do take that spot positionally. And when we talk about the spaces that Alex Collado does need to use in order to be as effective as much as possible, the player that does take those spaces of the first team is Lionel Messi. And to put it into simple terms, Alex Collado has shown time and time again that he is a creative winger. And there are many players within the first team that do possess those exact same amount of quality. And that's going to be the biggest obstacle Collado's going to have to face. While yes, there are many players that can do the exact same thing like Alex Collado, the big question is going to be who can do it better. And once Alex Collado is offered those 2 years to extend his contract with FC Barcelona, the biggest question he's going to have to ask himself is going to be this: when I'm 23, in exactly 1 year from today, will I be receiving the minutes required in order for me to progress as a player? And now moving on towards the next player, who is named Angel Alarcon. He is a 17-year-old Spanish left winger who does have a contract until 2023. This is a player that did start within the Espanyol Youth Academy. And it did not take very long for Barcelona to recognize this player, because there was a moment about 2 or 3 years ago, back around the time of the summer of 2018, when Espanyol Infantil A played against Barcelona. This was a match where there was many 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, or maybe even sometimes 16-year-olds involved within this final. Angel Alarcon was within this final, and he was playing for Espanyol. At this time, Barcelona had no idea on who this player was, and only to find out within that game that Angel Alarcon did have a great performance going up against FC Barcelona, completely demolishing the Barcelona right wingers and the Barcelona right backs. He was one of the star men on that night. And once that game was over between Espanyol and FC Barcelona, a couple of days later, Angel Alarcon was contacted by FC Barcelona, and it did not take long for FC Barcelona to finally sign this young Spanish player. And at the age of 14 and 15 years old, he was already a player that was considered as a star to FC Barcelona. And throughout his time in the academy of Barcelona, he has shown to be completely menacing when it comes to dribbling on that left flank. He showed time and time again in every game that he is extremely hard to take down. And one of the biggest specialties that he does like to do on the field is place the ball into space in order to only track it down 1 to 2 seconds right after. That is one of his best moves that he does like to do on the field. He is an extreme fun player to watch. Many have regarded this player to be a Neymar type player, a player who just likes to have fun and be as efficient as possible in order to create other opportunities for other players. Many have also regarded him to be a player that does like to have the ball on his feet in order to be in situations where he can do take-ons. Fast forward towards the 2020-2021 season, he did start playing with Barcelona A. One of the most recognizable performances coming from Angel was against Mallorca. He did provide an assist in that game and participated in a total of 2 goals. Shortly right after, Barcelona did play against Cornellà, which Barcelona have won 4-3. In that game, Alarcon did score a total of 2 goals. Fast forward towards the next match, which was on January 25th of 2021, there was a match between Barcelona and Girona. Barcelona Barcelona A did beat Girona 2-1. And yet again, Angel Alarcon was recognized to have a very impressive performance with scoring a goal, providing an assist, and creating a penalty opportunity. It has been said time and time again that he is one of the best players for Barcelona A and has been so far in this season. And surprisingly enough, later down this year, back on Sunday, March 14th, Angel finally made his Barcelona B debut. It was probably one of the most important matches for Barcelona B, where they have beaten Espanyol B 1-0. And just to put it into context, this was a game where Barcelona B and Garcia Pimienta really wanted to win. The fact that we saw Angel Alarcon feature in this match as a 17-year-old player is a very big deal. There is a bright future headed towards this player, and seeing how fast he has progressed over the years, seeing how fast he got placed into Barcelona B and made his debut, and now hearing that there are reports of him potentially participating in the preseason of the first team, the sky is going to be the limit for this player. After that 1-0 win for Barcelona B over Espanyol B, Angel did say this, and I quote, "I am very happy that Garcia Pimienta has given me the opportunity to debut in Second B, and especially because it was a derby. What more can I ask for?" Looking at his overall story of who this player actually is, he has gone through a acceleration phase. It is quite clear that the club does see this player mature way more quicker than many of his teammates around him. And now it is safe to say that it should be no surprise to hear that these 3 players, who is Alex Collado, Alejandro Balde, and Angel Alarcon, are finally going to feature into the first team preseason. The future for these 3 players is going to be extremely bright, and I have no doubt that if our coach continues to remain to be Ronald Koeman, who is a big pro on introducing more and more youth players, these are going to be players that are going to be wanting to make a mark within the first team in the next season. And we are going to be following these players throughout the rest of this year. It's going to be very exciting. That is going to be wrapping up today's very long Barcelona B video. I am going to be making more videos like this. Let me know what you guys think about these type of videos. I do like to give a background on these players because I know that there are viewers here that probably may not know of these players, and this is what I do want to do. I do want to educate you guys on who exactly these players are and why they could be very big for Barcelona in the future. I hope you guys do enjoy this. Again, this will not be the last video we are going to be making regarding Barcelona B players. There are so many other players that we are going to be discussing and how they could be fitting into the first team. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys are new here, welcome to the channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys in the next video.